Hey guys, what's up? I'm Nikhil, the EditPad instructor, and in this After Effects tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to create this really cool looking 3D text animation in After Effects using Stardust. So without any further ado, let's get straight into After Effects and get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. So let's start by creating a new composition and let's rename this to main because this is going to be our main composition. 1920 to 1080, 30 frames looks good and 10 seconds should be good enough, so hit OK. So here we have our main composition. Let's make some room right over here just so we can see all the panels. And to get the Stardust panel, you can go into Windows and click on this icon that says Stardust. So you can get this panel just like that. So let's start by creating a new solid. So hit Ctrl Y on the keyboard to create a new solid and let's rename this to BG for background. Hit OK. Let's create one more solid by hitting Ctrl Y and let's call this Stardust. Hit OK. And then I'm going to select the text tool and type in text that I want to use. Now you can of course type in any text that you want. I'm just going to type in the text that I use for the example. So I'm going to type in Fusion Network. There we go. Let's align this in the center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the second text, that is the network. And let's bring down the size of the text to 150 pixels. And that is looking pretty good to me. So let's align this to the center. Yep. Let's hide this. We don't need to see it. And let's select the Stardust solid layer and add the Stardust effect to this. And basically Stardust emit particles. It is a plugin that will help us to create some really nice 3D geometries into After Effects. So if I create a new camera pretty quick just to show you guys and switch into my camera view, you can see we have this really nice 3D particles which we can use it in different number of ways to create some really nice and advanced looking animation. So for now I'm just going to delete the camera and let's focus on creating our animation. So the first thing that I'm going to do is select the emitter and let's change some settings. So let's change the emitter type from point to text because that is what we will be using for our animation. And let's go into the path properties and set the text mask emit type to edge. Also, I'm going to bring down the speed to 5. So now as you can see, we can't see anything because we need to change the layer properties. So set the layer to the text layer, that is the Fusion Network. And now you can see the particles are getting emitted through our text. Pretty cool. And that is all we need to do into the emitter settings. So let's go into the particles section. Let's go into particle properties and bring down the particle size to 3. So they are really small and nice. Okay, I think that is all for the particles. So let's close this particle properties for now and let's add an auxiliary property to animate the lines. So I'm going to drop in an auxiliary property and attach it to the particles. Also, I'm going to bring down the speed of the auxiliary to 0. And yep, that is all we need to do. And let's create one more particle option for the auxiliary and let's attach it to the auxiliary. Now we have something like that. As you can see, not looking that good at the moment. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the particles size to 1. So we have something like that. And let's go into the emitter. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is let's go into the path properties of the emitter. And let's increase the speed along the path to 15. And randomness, I'll give it 5. So now as you can see, the particles are moving along the path of our text. So now we can attach this particle section to the auxiliary. And now we should have this really cool look. Now auxiliary works a bit heavy on the system because it's emitting a lot of particles. So it's going to be a bit heavy to the system, looking pretty cool. So now what I can do is pretty quickly, let's go into the particles section and let's give it a really nice color. So I'm going to go into particle properties and change the particle color type from solid color to a really nice random from gradient. And let's go into the color gradient section and we can select from number of different presets that we have, or you can use your own color that you want. So I'm going to use this color 10 preset, which I think looks pretty good. So I'm going to use this one. And same for this particles, I'm going to use the same color preset. So let's set the particle color to random from gradient and color gradient preset and select the color 10. Hit apply. And as you can see right now, when the particle starts, we have this really nice small looking dots. So in case if you don't want this kind of dots, you can hide this particle section just like that. So you just get the lines. But I think it looks more cool with the dots at the beginning. So I'm gonna just keep it on. And yep, this is looking pretty cool. You can also go into the emitter and play around with the size of Z. So right now it's set to 100. You can set this to maybe, I'm gonna go with 75. Something like that. And it's looking pretty cool. So let's go ahead and create a new camera. And 50 millimeters looks good. Hit OK. Let's create a new null object. And let's rename this to cam control, because this is going to be the controller for our camera. Also make sure to make it 3D and parent the camera to the null object just like that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit R to bring down the rotation properties. Go right over here. And let's make or rotate the Y rotation to around 60 degrees, just like so. Let's go at the very beginning, create a keyframe, and go to maybe, let's go with 4 seconds maybe. And let's set the rotation to 0. So we have a basic rotation animation, just like so. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's actually select the keyframes and hit F9 to ease those keyframes. And let's go into the camera, hit P to bring down the position properties, and I'm going to animate the position of our text. So let's go somewhere around there so we can see our animation, and let's drop the position of the Z axis to 0. So now we are really close to our animation. Let's create a keyframe at the very beginning, and I'm going to go to 6 seconds. Okay, and bring this down to around, let's go with maybe, let's start with minus 2500 or something like that. Let's see. Yep, that is looking good to me. So just to preview our animation pretty quickly, I'm going to do a RAM preview. So as you can see, this is looking really nice. Let's select the keyframes and hit F9 to ease those keyframes. Let's go into the graph editor, and I'm going to tweak the handle by just dragging them a little bit to the left so that our ending animation is a bit more smoother. Okay, pretty nice. Let's do some really nice depth of field for our animation just to make it look more organic and realistic. So what I'm going to do is select the camera and hit A 2 times to bring down the properties of depth of field, and let's turn this on. Also, I'm going to increase the aperture to around 200, and for the blur level I'm going to go to 200 as well. For the focus distance, I'm going to start really close, so maybe somewhere around 750. Let's see. Yep, pretty nice. Let's go to 1 second and let's see, a bit more close. So what I'm going to do is at the very beginning I'm going to start from maybe 500 or something. Let's go a few frames forward. Looking good. Pretty cool. Yeah. So now at 1 second and 15 frame, I'm going to create a keyframe on the focus distance and bring this back to maybe 1 second and drag this keyframe right over here. Let's go back to 1 second and 15 frames and move this a bit forward to, let's say, maybe 550 or maybe 600. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's go to 2 seconds. So somewhere around there, and let's increase the focus distance to maybe 800. A bit more, so let's go with 900. Okay, pretty good. Maybe 950 a bit. Okay, this looks perfect to me. Let's go forward more to around, let's go to maybe 2 second and 15 frames. And let's bring this up to around 1100. Nope. Let's make this to 1200. There's no specific number. You need to, use different numbers to just find that perfect spot. So I'm just going to keep on, increasing it little by little so that we can see what's going on. Maybe 1400. Yep, that looks perfect to me. Let's go to 3 seconds. Let's bring this to 1500. Bit more, so I'll go with maybe 1650. Perfect. Let's go to 3 second and 15 frames. Let's bring this up to 1800. A bit more, so I'll go with 1900. Yeah, perfect. And for the 4 second mark, I'm gonna go to, let's say, 2200. Yep, looking pretty good. Let's go a bit more forward in time. So let's go to 4 second and 20 frames. And let's bring this to 2500. Okay, pretty nice. Let's go to 5 second. And let's bring this, actually it's looking pretty good. So let's go right off the bat to 6 seconds. And let's bring this to maybe 2700. So now the animation is in focus all the time throughout the complete animation process. So now if I pretty quickly RAM preview this. Alright, so this is looking very nice. As you can see, we get this really nice 3D depth of field, which makes our animation look more interesting. So now once we are done with the animation, let's make our complete project look much more interesting. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing is I'm going to add some glow to our animation, and to do that, let's pretty quickly add a glow to this. And for the moment, I'm going to just turn off the depth of field so that we can work a bit more faster. So let's increase the threshold to around 80 and increase the glow radius to around 150. Yep, this is looking very nice. Let's also increase the glow intensity to 1.5. Pretty cool. Maybe I'll go with maybe 1.2 or something like that. Looking very nice. Okay, so let's create a new adjustment layer. And let's add some curves to this. So I'll add curves and bring this down a little bit just to increase the colors and make them more punchy on the complete scene. Pretty nice. Let's add some noise to this just to make it look more realistic. Let's create a new adjustment layer. So hit Ctrl Alt and Y. Let's rename this to noise and add a noise effect to this. Really minimal, maybe 2%. And then let's create a new solid. So hit Ctrl Y and let's rename this to optical flares. And let's add optical flares to this. Also change the blending mode to screen. There we go. Let's go into the options and clear all. We just need the glow, so I'm just going to use the glow and hit OK. Also, I'm going to make this 3D so that it interacts with our camera. Let's close this. Let's go to 5 seconds maybe. And what I'm going to do is select the optical flares and position it somewhere around here or something like that. Something like so. Pretty cool. And change the color to something like a really nice orangish yellow color. Just like so. It's a bit too much, so I'll bring down the brightness to around 60 or something. Yep, looking good. I'm going to duplicate it, so hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, and let's change this to a really nice kind of a pinkish red color. You can use definitely any color that you want. I'm gonna go with something like that. Place somewhere around there. Really nice. Let's place this one a bit to the left, just like so. Pretty cool. And also, if you want to increase or decrease the kind of, the displacement that the text have, you can go into the Stardust and go into the emitter and play around with the speed. So if I increase the speed really high to maybe something like 20, the lines are gonna get more displays. So depending on the kind of look that you want to go with, you can change the speed. So I'm gonna just set this to 5. Also, you can play around with the size Z. So if I increase this to, let's say, maybe something like 200, you can see we get this really nice depth to the scene. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it at 75 because I think that looks much better. As you can see, all in all, the composition is looking very nice, and obviously you can go into the camera and turn on the depth of field to get a much more nicer result. I think the glow is a bit too much, so let's go into the glow. Let's close this up, go into the glow and bring up the threshold to around 9%. Yep, this is looking much better. And for the glow radius, I'm going to bring this down to 120. Pretty nice. So let's pretty quickly preview our complete animation. Yep, so as you can see, this is looking very nice and interesting. And also, if you guys get a little bit of color bendings, to fix that, what you can do is just switch from 8-bit to 16-bit. So hold Alt and click on this icon. So it's going to switch to 16-bit, which will help us to get more natural glows in terms of color bendings. So you won't get any noise or color bendings if you switch to 16 bits per channel. So alright, so now what I'm going to do is let's make some room right over here and let's select our text. Let's turn this on and let's go to 5 seconds. Also make sure to make it 3D. So let's toggle switch and make it 3D. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the opacity of our text. So let's hit 2T to bring down the opacity, create a keyframe. Let's bring this keyframe back right over here. And let's bring the opacity down to 0. There we go. So now we have a basic opacity animation. And also what I'm going to do is let's go to 5 seconds again and let's go to the Stardust. Let's go into the emitter and let's create a keyframe on the particles per second. Click on page down to go 1 frame forward in time and let's set this down to 0. So let's go a bit forward in time. Let's see what we have. Pretty cool. Let's go back to 5 seconds. Let's go into this particle section and create a keyframe on the particles per second. Go 1 frame forward in time and let's bring this down to 0. Same for this particles. Let's go at 5 seconds. Create a keyframe, go 1 frame forward and bring this down to 0. So at the end we just have our text. So we have this basic and simple text animation. Also I'm going to go to 6 seconds and let's just play around with the depth of field. Actually I'm going to adjust the focus distance. So let's hit AA and the focus distance I'm going to actually go right over here at the keyframe and let's increase it to maybe 2800. Let's see. No, that is not actually what I'm going for. So let's keep it at 2600 maybe. A bit more closer. 2500. Yep, perfect. So now we have our text getting revealed through the animation. So yep, that is all for today guys. I hope this tutorial was helpful and I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching guys.